Part 2 of readings of 20th of April 2024, because my iPhone storage cut us off, for the love of all the gods. So here we go. I was in the middle of reading about my dream of, what date was that? I have to scroll back now. 20th of April 2017. Where I had been woken up from my dream by Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on my door, and that I had been astonished that my front door and back door were open. And then I went on to describe the dream, and I was at the part where I said the bloody mad Johos had woken me up. They stole my creative vibe, to be sure, and I continue on from there. It was a very odd dream, as I abhor stealing, as it is such a violation. I have not worked for years, and Jessica Lang and I seemed very comfortable in each other's company. So weird that I would dream of her, though, as being a fence for stolen goods, right? Almost like a female version of Fagin from Oliver Twist. It's funny how my subconscious operates, but there's probably layers and layers to unpack in that dream alone, but I won't. I'm too tired. I don't have the energy. But it's astonishing what my brain comes up with sometimes. I find it interesting, actually, just why I record it. So I continue on. Oh yes, I remember now, in the dream at work, there were plenty of handsome men wearing lovely suits. My female boss took me into another room where I asked some of the men for advice on dating and describing an antique diamond-encrusted fob watch which had several lockets and other fobs attached to it. It was so stunning and intricate. Diamond-encrusted fob watch. They were very helpful, but also blasé, as though such beautiful work came through the shop every day. They were friendly and encouraging. We left and walked down a corridor so she could show me the toilets. She commented on how handsome the men that worked there all were. I had to agree. Then she showed me the state of the toilets and commented, "Pity they pee like spraying animals," and giggled like a young girl. I felt a bit sick by this stage. Who gets to clean it? Don't worry, we have cleaners, but it really is gross. We never use their toilets unless we are desperate. I nodded, feeling slightly relieved. My new boss then invited me to her place after work, as it was close by. So it was a very strange dream with all those elements in it. Debrief with my doctor tomorrow. Need to get up early. So much to tell him. Only half an hour. So, my therapy sessions go for half an hour, and it's why I find making these videos is kind of an adjunct to my therapy so useful, because there's a lot more detail, and I go into a lot more of, my life experiences on any given day, and it helps me actually unpack a lot of things in my relationships or my connections with other human beings, and helps me work out where I'm at in my own body, mind and spirit too. And I enjoy it. I actually enjoy it, even though I'm a bit tired now. I might even go back to bed when I finish this. I'm starting to feel evacuated, but as I said, I had a beautiful night last night. A beautiful night. 20th of April 2016. As I was leaving to see my doctor, I received a phone call from my childhood friend in New Zealand. So excited to hear from her. I promised to call her back, but I've lost all her numbers. I hope she calls me back again. Feeling loved and happy after reconnecting to Margaret in person and Lynn by phone, my childhood sisters. Also looking forward to seeing Lynn tomorrow, Lynn being Lyn, my Australian Lynn friend. And always happy and grateful for happy times spent with Jared. So happy and excited to have spoken to Lynn Robertson at last. Wow, she was my only family growing up. Thank God for her and her parents who tolerated this opinionated, spoilt but broken child in their home. That is where I learnt about real love and acceptance. Lucy visited again yesterday. She stayed for several hours. She is very intense, but I understand her loneliness and suffering. She arrived a few nights ago at 1 a.m. and left at 3:30 a.m. Very chaotic. I would get cranky with her, but I was up watching TV anyway, and in a way, it's nice to have company. Lucy was my friend who was a former heroin addict and was on the methadone program, and we were very fond of each other in spite of her major issues with addiction, and she was like one of my kids, and so I was tolerating quite a bit of aberrant behaviour because I knew turning up at those hours of the night that she was either back on the gear or striving to avoid getting back on the gear, so she was coming to me as a distraction or comfort, and in a way, even though her fucking mother fucked me over royally, in a way I kind of miss Lucy. She was good to me. She was a good kid to me. She did steal my gurney though, which I'm still pissed off about to this day, but overall she was a good kid to me. What can I say? No one's perfect. We all have our isms. She had a hell of a childhood, so we bonded over that. We who have been broken in early childhood have a kinship and an understanding for each other. And it is what it is, people. This afternoon, I have a debrief with my psychiatrist, 2 weekly debriefing, as I have been so unwell. What year was this? 2016, so yeah, only 8 months after my suicide attempt in 2015. All good, at least he is monitoring me, which he does still to this day every 2 weeks. That's how fragile I actually can be even to this day. It's not nice to push my buttons because, I've come from a lot of abuse, and it's very easy to tip me over the edge, and it's just the way it is. Hold myself together very well, but there's times when I struggle. I've been upset about my lawns but I hired another guy to come next week when I get paid. The grass gets quickly out of control when people are unreliable. I hope this guy will turn up. Jesus, my grass is really long again. He didn't cut it very low last time, did a shitty job, so within 3 days it was back up. So I'm actually kind of pissed off about that too. It's just exploiting people. A lot of traffic going up Topaz Street today, it's odd. 20th of April 2014, 3:43 a.m. on the bus home. I had a good night until 3 a.m. when one of my stalkers made a pest of himself. I told him he better not follow me to the bus, to his face, in front of one of the security guys. Creepy. This would have been coming from either the casino or Irish Murphys. They used to follow me occasionally, which was really odd behaviour. Creepy. He just smiled, played dumb. So I told the other 2 security guys outside that if he follows me, I will call the cops. I danced heaps tonight with my beautiful friends, so not complaining. I think I will have a hot bath when I get home, as I am sore from all the dancing. Life is good. Looking forward to a nice cup of tea and a cuddle with my cats. And here I posted a rendition of Hotel California, pardon me, like you've never heard it before. And I wrote, I must show this to my friend George the Busker, who used to be an Orthodox Jew raised in London. He would love this. Sighs. It must have been a Jewish version of it because it came from jewsnews.co.il, Israel. Thanks, Charlie. She's just flicked food all over me. I just love being covered in your food, Charlie. Not. That's sarcasm, Charlie. I don't think birdies speak sarcasm. Do birdies speak in sarcasm, Charlie? What are you doing? What are you doing, actually? Do you want to go back out in the garden? I think it's going to rain. Yes, is it going to rain? It does sound like she's saying bye-bye, doesn't it? Maybe I'm imagining it. What's going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? I love you. I love you. You is my baby. Where are we? I'm floating. I'm leaving my body. I'm so tired. I'm going to go and have a nap soon. I was feeling great before when I started this video. I was doing very well, but now I'm tired. 20th of April 2000. Shall I go dancing? Re-innovate the old girl. Re-innovate the zombie girl. Anyway, 20th of April 2011. Right, here we go. Another dream. I dream of Susie. I just had a lovely chat with Philip, who told me my old boss from Susie's Coffee Lounge has written a book about her business days, which is weird because I dreamt about Susie a few nights ago and was going to message Muriel, who was Philip's mother, to tell her to say hi from me, 'cause I still dream of working in that kitchen with the huge sterilizer sink and running up and down those stairs. I was only 15 when I started work there in the middle of my school certificate, which meant I failed maths, laughing out loud. No, they fucking sabotaged me, my mother and Susie. They knew that maths was a weak subject for me and put me under extra pressure by making me start a job in the middle. Who makes their 15-year-old kid start a job right in the middle of their school certificate examinations? My mother, the sociopath. Fucking arsehole she was. She really was. I would have got way higher grades if I wasn't so stressed out on my girls and traumatised all the time, by the way. Fuck's sake. Seriously. That place had a huge impact on everyone who worked there. What a hoot. Thanks, Phil, for calling me and letting me know how everyone is doing. Had to tell him to stop calling me because he was getting a little bit frisky in his midlife crisis. I was not happy about that. Like, we grew up like brother and sister, like we all grew up running around the beach in Island Bay with his 3 brothers and his baby sister and Lynn Robertson and I. We all grew up like family. So he gets to his fucking, how old was he then? I can't even remember. He was a few years older than me. Anyway, it was inappropriate. I had to tell him to fuck off. Ended a long-standing friendship that dated back to quite early childhood. In fact, there's photos of him and I think his brother Graham, all thrown into a bath together when I was about 3 or 4. It was that fucking innocent. We were all little, No, I had to fuck that up for me. Just can't even trust your childhood male friends. So I'm pissed off about it to this day, but it is what it is. Update 2022. I dreamt of her just after she died too, meaning Susie, and found out about her passing after I posted on here about the dream. She was bathed in light, so I kind of knew it was her goodbye, but it was astonishing to get confirmation that she had indeed passed 3 weeks prior. And the interesting thing is that time frame of 3 weeks, because when my ex-former lover, David Davidson, passed away, I didn't know he died, hadn't had contact with him for 16 years, and, eventually had stopped grieving the loss of that love affair and had finally fucking gotten over it and moved on. And then he ups and dies, right? But I didn't know. 3 weeks after his death, he was haunting my front door, smashing, running up my steps. You could hear the footsteps, running up the steps and pounding on my door. So it's astonishing the time frames though, because I always thought that when you died, you hung around or you could visit family or friends or whatever, and like within the first week or so. But 3 weeks later, it was very astonishing. And the astonishing part was getting confirmation that it was him that was haunting me and that he had indeed died. And the same with Susie, having dreamt of her. It was a bit of a different vibe though, because I knew she died by the quality of the dream, because she was sitting like in a window with golden light just streaming all around her. She had her hair done up beautifully, as she always had done when I worked for her as a young teenager. And she just was streaming with this golden halo of light streaming. And as soon as I woke up, I thought, Susie's died. That was her visiting me in a dream. And then when I got the confirmation later that day even, I was like, wow, So it was very sweet. I felt comforted and honoured that I dreamed of her after her death, as we had not been in contact for decades, but it proved to me that real love, friendship, a weird kind of kinship of trauma survivors never dies. She wrote in her book that she was a survivor of child sexual abuse too, which was something I kind of always wondered about her when I worked for her, because of her mood, her labile moods, which was similar to mine, and just her strength and her power and her vitality, and just she was an amazing woman actually. She was like me, a bit fucking broken and a bit crazy from the trauma. Not that, I mean, crazy is probably not the right word. We're not crazy. We're not at all crazy, but we have different ways of coping and expressing ourselves, and, but we're not actually crazy. But yeah, she could go from being really happy-go-lucky to a screaming berserker maniac on a dime. Like, she was very unstable in that respect. And, like her, I have a hellish fucking temper too. But I try to contain it, and I try to go into observer mode and, what is this person doing? What do they hope to achieve by this? Why are they poking the bear, And I'll be hellishly angry at the behaviour, but I'll kind of also detach and be a bit circumspect too. So, yeah. But if I go to town on your head, you deserved it, babies. If I really lose my temper massively, it's because someone's done something really fucking awful to me, or someone else that I'm close to. So it is terrifying, as my psychiatrist mentioned earlier, because you don't see me lose it like that very often at all. I'm not like my parents, who were just violent fucking nutters. And even Susie with her temper could be very unpredictable, but she loved me and I loved her. We understood each other. We walked the same walk and we talked the same talk. She made a success of herself, was an 8 millionaire, had 8 millions when she died, probably more when she died for all I know. And successful businesswoman, took no prisoners, took no crap, but people loved her. They were drawn to her because she was avant-garde. She always dressed in the most outrageously avant-garde fashions, and, I adored her. She was one of the few women to be protective of me as an adolescent too, by the way. I still remember the time my friend Graham Denich came to pick me up from work, and I'd actually already left work and was on the bus heading home. And so we'd cross paths. Well, I didn't know he was coming to pick me up, or I would have waited around, Anyway, he told me, because he came to pick me up from home when he realised that I was on my way home. But it was so funny because he could be very sleazy and fucking creepy around me, constantly. Didn't actually molest me, but there was always that level of creepiness, and occasionally he'd run his hands over me and I'd just give him my death stare, because I'd had enough predators by that age. I'd been through enough. So I already had very low tolerance for creepy behaviour. So, but anyway, he told me when he picked me up, it was actually delightful. I laughed my ass off. He walked into Susie's Coffee Lounge, which was on Willis Street in Wellington, very famous coffee lounge in the day. And he marched up, and Susie, she was a chain smoker. She smoked a shit ton. My God, she was always smoking. And she was having a break, which is actually rare because she was a workaholic. It's how she managed her trauma issues. And he said she was sitting at the table, the back near the till, where she was kind of the staff table. And customers could sit there too, but it was like her table where she sat. And from that position, the back of the coffee lounge, she could watch the whole, right down to the front door. But similar to what I do when I had my spot at the Livewire bar, I would be able to watch the whole floor, everyone coming and going. So I probably learnt that skill from her, am I right? Anyway, she was sitting there smoking, her usual elegant self with her black coffee and her avant-garde, style of dress. And Graham went up to her and said, "I've come to pick up Tanya." And she just looked him up and down, very, very slowly. "And who are you?" she said to him. He said, "Oh, I'm a family friend. I've come to pick up Tanya to bring her to a barbecue to my place." She just stared at him. And then he said to me, her eyes moved down, and she just stared at his crotch, like really stared. He said she wouldn't take her eyes off my dick, Tanya. I said, "Oh, really, Graham? I think you're exaggerating. I mean, really, there's nothing to see there." At 15, I was already quite circumspect about male genitalia. They're all so proud of their genitals, men. It's actually quite hilarious. But anyway, she's staring at his package as if to say, "Well, who the fuck are you?" And he said eventually she moved her eyes back up to his face and she said, "And who are you? And what do you want with Tanya?" And he said, "I felt like a schoolboy being dressed down by a principal of a school." And I went, "Yeah, she has a way of making you feel very, very small indeed." I said, "But I love her for it. She takes no shit from anyone." And he said, I found myself stammering, going, I'm Graham, I'm a family friend." And then she just, after staring at his crotch for like what felt like forever, she said, "She's not here. She's already gone home." And he said, I left. He said, "I felt violated, Tanya. I felt violated." And I laughed till I cried. He's driving me back to his place to meet up with his partner and his wife and my mother that was already at his place. And then he repeats the story to tell Mum and Nanette about it all. And Mum just looked at me and I was crying. And she says, "Why is that so funny, Tanya?" And I said, "Oh, well," I said, "he kind of had it coming, didn't he?" I said, "She didn't know who he was. Could have been anyone." And then even Mum kind of had to laugh. But yes, my Susie van der Kwast, my champion. On that note, the last song Alter Egos played last night was "We Are the Champions." And this woman, I've met her before, I can't remember her name, but I'm sure I've met her before, comes up to me and grabs me and starts dancing with me, which is fine, it's the end of the night and it's a female and she wasn't grabbing me around my waist and taking ownership over my body. She was just dancing, being lovely. So anyway, I held my hand up and we twirled together. And then she kissed my cheek and she was singing and she had a Serbian accent or Croatian accent, definitely Oh, actually, no. I think I've met her once before at the Brooklyn Standard some months ago with a friend. I think she's Romanian. Couldn't remember her name for a could not remember her name, but I did recognise her. And so she's singing into my ear, "We are the champions, we are the champions of the world." Anyway, it was just delightful. She was just so sweet and so loving. She was pissed, but she was just so delightful. So I hammed it up with her a bit and I really enjoyed that moment. Every woman and little inner child girl needs a champion, my darlings. And sometimes the champion comes from another woman more beautifully than any man I could have ever hoped to lean on or rely on or depend on or put my trust in and hope for genuine, authentic love and care and protection. And to be fair, in my childhood, didn't have a lot of genuine care or protection even from other women, except for Susie and my friend Lynn Robertson's mother, June. And it was rare. It was rare. So whenever I get someone do that, come over and be loving and showing me support and a level of spiritual, if not physical protection, I soak it up like a sponge, like an elixir of life, because it's that meaningful to me. That's why I love my psychiatrist so much, because he's protective and understands my various isms. And why I love my true friends as well so much, because they get me too and vibe with me. And it's a beautiful thing, people of Earth. It's a beautiful thing when you find people that totally love you and vibe with you and are heartfelt and sincere and, if necessary, protective. I really appreciated that. Well, I have been blessed with 2 lovely Seders this year, which more than makes up for the mumble years when I didn't go to any. A Seder is a traditional ritual meal that Jews celebrate on the first and second night of Passover. So if I went to 2, I went to the first and the second night, which is unusual for me. I usually only go to 1. What a spiritually loaded couple of days. Thanks to all for making it so special. Kiss, 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 kiss. And actually, if I had a congregation that I could go to, that I could trust to not other me, I wouldn't mind going to a Seder again this year, but it's Passover's in 2 days' time, so I've left it a bit late to, pardon me, organise and pay for that. So it won't happen, but yeah, every now and then I have this call to go back to my Jewish roots, even though my own Jewish community in Brisbane overall treated me pretty shabbily, but it is what it is. Now for the bombshell, because my life is not ever allowed. Got something in my teeth. Because my life is not ever allowed to be righteous, smooth, pain-free, or just plain easy cruising. I got a phone call from Perth, WA. Yes, a stranger in Perth phoned me. He has my 82-year-old itinerant Meshuggah father. Meshuggah means crazy. He really was crazy. The prodigal dad has arrived there by plane to house sit and caretake on a small farm for the next 3 months. Jesus. This was the man that couldn't look after my guinea pigs and my cats while I went away for a weekend to Melbourne in the year 2000. So it's astonishing how that fucking arsehole got himself around. So here I thought my dear old dad was dead and disposed of somewhere, anywhere. But no, he's very much alive and in Perth, WA. What cruel joke of the universe is this, may I humbly ask? So I have given this person a week to observe Dad carefully to see if there is any expected aggression, violence, argumentativeness, and open hostility. He's been there 3 days and so far Dad is bright, alert, intelligent, articulate, and reminiscing about New Zealand. I said, don't let that fool you. He's a menace. Don't get in the car with him either. He's a maniac behind the wheel. To which the man said, oh, in a very small voice. He's driven me 5 kilometres, but very fast. Laughing out loud. Oh, you have to laugh. This is how innocent and gullible people are, right? He put his life in his hands, letting my father drive him around. Oh, dear goddess. I have to laugh, but it's actually not funny. It's really not funny. And my friend Melissa put question mark, exclamation marks. Melissa's my friend Lynn's daughter, so she knew the history of, from years of my friendship with Lynn, talking about my fucked up parents. So her response was question mark, because she knows it's a whole level of fuckery that my old man surfaced that way, right? Some gullible man trying to fob him off on me, by the way. So I replied, I know, Melissa, if I had money for alcohol right now, I'd be completely pissed. I would have obliterated myself. That's how bad the thought of having my father re-enter my life was. In 2011, by the way. So you can imagine how fucking bad it was to be forced to deal with his ashes and all that shit when he died in 2017. And I wrote, all I can say is, why me? And Melissa wrote, yes, I can see why alcohol seems like an attractive option. I'm sure the whys and the wherefores will become apparent over time. The wait has got to suck, though. I wrote back, the guy in Perth has obviously rung me to absolve any responsibility and ditch Dad back into my lap. I can't go there. The man is too violent and aggressive. I'm too ill to look after a maniac at the best of times. What a spin out. And Missy wrote back, oh, yeah, stay away from that one. Perth is manageable, lol. And my friend Philip, who I was still talking to at the time, before he got carried away in our friendship, let's just put it delicately like that, wrote, Tani. He's one of the few people to get away with calling me Tani and fucking live, by the way, because that's a trigger for me too, since my mother used to shriek out my name, Tani, when I was down the beach hiding from her in the rock pools and avoiding her at all costs. You could hear her screaming in her German accent, Tani! So call me Tani and you die. But for some obscure reason, I let Philip get away with that because, as I said, we grew up together as from a very young age. You know, I was 3 or 4 sitting in the bath with him and his brothers. People bathed their kids together when you're little in the old days, didn't think anything of it. It was the one and only time he saw me naked though. Just saying. Bloody hell. Men. I'm going to have to become more like Susie van der Kwast and demasculate men by staring at their crotches more often. It's a worthy weapon in the arsenal of a warrior goddess, by the way. Tani, says Philip, don't go there. He knew my father well, what level of fucking maniac he was. P.S. I realised today that David Phillips is 83 now, not 82. The madman should not have flown to WA with deep vein thrombosis under any circumstances. What a fool of a man. Melissa wrote, more reason why he can't come to you. Laughing out loud. So anyway, this older man who was a farmer had probably paid for my father to fly over there because Dad wouldn't have had any money. So he would have paid him to fly over to Perth. Dad was supposed to look after his farm while this gentleman farmer went away on a holiday with his wife, which is not unreasonable. You know, Dad was offering his services as a house and pet sitter, not knowing that he had just invited a fucking maniac onto his farm. And I said, I think he wanted him to feed and water his horses, and he had a dog. Said I wouldn't put faith in having him feed the horses properly and do any of that. Couldn't even look after my fucking guinea pigs and cat when I went away for one weekend for my one and only trip to Melbourne back in 2000. You know, like, it was disgraceful. I actually hired a little teenage neighbourhood girl just to go and make sure that the animals were fed, because I knew my father would just sit there watching TV, drinking coffee, and I actually feared for the safety of my animals, quite frankly. He really was a fucking arsehole. On that note, I just noticed 1:11 p.m, Make-A-Wish. May I forever be free of my family of origin for the rest of eternity. Amen. V'Salah. I hope I don't ever incarnate into that soul group ever again. That's how monstrous they were, and wherever they are in the next dimension, probably still are. Update, 20th of April 2019. Wow. No wonder I had my little Pesach Easter breakdown yesterday. My psyche remembered how my father managed to fuck up this sacred time, not just by dying on the 3rd of March 2017 and the long wait for his prodigal ashes to be scattered on 19th of April 2017, but here is a reminder that he popped up in 2011 via some farmer he had agreed to house sit for, but who became alarmed that my father was not quite right in the head. You think? So I did not want him here with me, so the farmer deposited David Phillips at a men's hostel in Perth, which, to be fair, I was kind of upset about, that was his fate, to live out his life as a homeless man. But I could not have had him come back to me and be back in my life. He was too fucking dangerous and destructive. From there he managed to get himself back to Queensland, Warwick, as he was staying in an Irish pub there. This was synchronistic, as I was dancing down Damon's, Faye and bloody stalkers at the Irish Murphys at the same time frame. Bit astonishing, isn't it? And then next I heard of my progenitor. He had died of sepsis from an untreated kidney infection at a hostel in Shepparton, Victoria. The staff had failed to take him to hospital, and the cleaners found his room empty as someone, a kind Samaritan, had taken him to hospital without telling the staff. So someone had stepped in, seeing how deathly ill he was. So the staff in that old people's home that was meant to have a duty of care to provide basic medical treatment to my maniac. I mean, he was a maniac, but he was also a human being and deserved basic, duty of care, basic medical treatment. So yeah, basically they murdered the old man by neglect, as often happens, as he died in hospital of sepsis. Not a pleasant end to a life. So anyway, my brain remembers my ancestors in ways that they should really be long forgotten. Trauma, DNA, and spiritual bonds. Fuck it all. But every day, in every way, I am recreating a beautiful life for myself. It's raining and it's a lovely day. The moon was gorgeous and rich last night, and I recharged my crystals and filled my soul with strength and bliss. I'm going to spend my rest of my life dragging myself up from the abyss only to fall again. But I am okay with that. Been doing it since birth, and I'm getting better at it. Thirsty again. Old age has some strange gifts. Not giving a fuck and not staying in the doldrums for longer than necessary. Survival, even thrival. Post-traumatic growth, miraculous. And I'm very astonished and grateful for that moment of thriving and the last 5 or 6 songs of the set last night. It was very potent, and I needed that. I needed that. Thanks to BPJC, that's Brisbane Progressive Jewish Congregation, for the leftover Seder food. It meant Gail and I didn't have to cook much tonight apart from extra pumpkin. Gail was stressed with little Talia being her usual interesting 6-year-old self, i.e. high maintenance. Just got to plug us in. And I got sozzled on Goon. Goon is cardboard wine that comes in cardboard casks, is what I meant by that. As I needed to dull down some awful feelings after 2 separate phone calls since last night, laughing out loud. Pesach blues. What do you do after a lovely second Seder and a phone call with someone having your missing father in their living room? A father, for the love of all the gods. A father you haven't seen or spoken to for 11 years almost, and it's 2 a.m. and you can't believe how your life keeps getting twisted, whether you want to twist it or not, and you just want a good schloof sleep, but your head is spinning. You crave chocolate, of course, only I have the bread of affliction, bloody afflicted, all right, lol. The bread of affliction refers to matzah that's eaten during the 8 days of Passover, because we have to eat unleavened bread. Wednesday, 20th of April, 2011. I haven't had such a terrible day as I had today or in the last 24 hours since the 18th of October, 2000. I didn't think I'd survive that day's heartbreak. And there were serious moments tonight. I didn't think I'd get through today's. But a huge thanks to Gail, Heather, Lynn and Phil, who were there for me when I needed solace. My friends are my strength and my only blessing in this world. One by one, I've seen people come and go. Isn't that interesting? Out of those 4 people mentioned, only Lynn has remained a steadfast friend. So, what can I say? But people suck. Big, hairy, sweaty balls most of the time. But as per usual, I keep rising above it. One by one, I've seen people come and go. But when I've been at my lowest ebb, you've been there to hold me up one more time. And Lynn wrote, as per our conversation, did you get yourself earthed? And I wrote, yup, a quick hug from the tree, a quick hug with the tree, then rushed off to help Crystal move her fridge and washing machine and bring stuff from the old flat to the new flat across the hall. And I did lots of washing for her and hung it out and put her books away and I'm a sucker. I need to clean and sort my own house, laughing out loud. It was good to escape my den of misery for the day and evening though. Crystal was exhausted from doing most of the moving herself and barely slept for 72 hours, so started to get cranky. So I drove her car home to my place and she drove herself back home to hers. She was too tired to be driving, really. 20th of April 2010. Weather's so strange today. Very fucking strange. Contentment is pension day. Disappointment is the day after pension day. Tinker Tink the possum had another apple this evening. Now she takes it out of my hand. So cute. And thus concludes today's readings of Even Date. Painful memories of my old man, which hopefully that will stop coming up in the ensuing weeks because, you know, of even date I just scattered his ashes and all that weird confluence of him appearing. Interesting. At the same time as ultimately I ended up scattering his ashes, he had on the same day tried to re-enter my life like a fucking crashing rocket capsule. Rocket Man comes to mind. And on the same day, 6 years before in 2011. So it's a weird confluence of time and space and energy, and it is what it is. But I'm done grieving over those bastards now. And what is it? He died in 2017. 7 years. I'm done. I'm done with them. As my mother would say in German, weg damit. And I'm just watching the lorikeets all gathering in the callistemon tree across the road. It's about to rain. All the birds are flocking to their roosts. So I have great love and great beauty in my life now, and I choose to immerse myself in nature and true authentic loves, and keep myself sanguine and a bit pristine. But I'm looking forward to the next few years. Hopefully I'll eventually take a wonderful lover who is trustworthy and kind and sweet and loyal and faithful to me. Everything that my former lovers were not. And it's a psychedelic dreamer's dream, but it could happen one day. There was a man at the club last night. He's approached me before. He's annoying. He's after me, of course. That's why he's annoying. And I know him. I don't know him, but he was a regular at the Live Wire bar. So I just bought another Jack Daniels, and I was weaving my way through the crowd, working my way back to, you know, my new spot, newish sort of spot, but not quite, but almost. It's not exactly defined. Haven't completely claimed it because it's where the seating is and got to share space with people. But sort of where I kind of hang around there and I dance there. So this particular man pointed at me and sort of tapped at me, you know, wanting my attention. And I just nodded acknowledgement to him, but kept going because I'm not interested in him really. It's been trying to get my attention and befriend me for years, over the years, quite some years now. It's kind of comical. Maybe the ones I reject are the ones that are supposed to be my partner, am I right? But I don't think so. He's too fucking sleazy and slimy and gives me the ick factor, which is why I politely acknowledged him but kept going, get as far away from him as possible. And he got the hint. As Scott said to me last fortnight when they played, as we were leaving, I said to him, I've got some weird guy waiting for me outside, and it was creepy too. And I said, but don't worry, Scott, I'm pretty good at dodging the dickheads. And even he had to laugh, and he went, you certainly are, Tanya. But, you know, it's hard fucking work sometimes, dodging all the dickheads in a busy club with majority of them are quite drunk, and the dickhead quotient gets amplified to the power of 10. So, but yeah, they weren't, apart from that chappie just wanting my attention, I mean, it's harmless enough. They weren't too bad last night, and as I said, I enjoyed my dance with the Romanian woman. She was very passionate, very sweet, not gay, nothing like that, but just very joyfully passionate in the dance, and it was delightful. So anyway, on that note, I bid you goodbye. I'll be back tomorrow with tomorrow's readings of even date. And yeah, sometimes it's interesting to see how far I've come on this journey to wholeness, and sometimes it kind of rips off a band-aid, but you know, as my psychiatrist said to me, the more you repeat your story and over and over and over until one day it stops hurting, that's when you've kind of healed. But I do kind of think I probably need, I don't know, MDMA, which I've never dabbled in, or an ayahuasca journey to just purge all the filth once and for all, right? But knowing my luck, my brain's so, wired differently to everyone else from early childhood trauma. My luck, I'd probably fucking flip the fuck out and die. Just why I'm very wary about taking any kind of drugs. I have dabbled in a bit of cannabis in my day, but, I do credit it with healing me quite markedly, actually. And if I could afford it, I would be on the legal cannabis program, having legal cannabis for my anxiety. But it's too bloody expensive. I can't afford it. So I manage my my emotions the best I can, and manage my anxiety and channel it all once a week. It's almost like a catalyzation, like a drawing down from the spirit world and catalyzing it through my body in the wild dance on the weekend. And that's how I heal myself, people. And it's very soul nourishing and therapeutic to me, and I'm grateful for the dance. So on that note, bye y'all. Have a lovely day in the space-time continuum, wherever you are on planet Earth. Oh my goodness. She just massively shat all over me. Oh my goodness, Charlie. And wherever my missives land and wherever our messages from planet Earth get bounced off, an alien's up there trying to figure out about what is a rainbow lorikeet and why does it shit on its mother so much. I think she does it just for sheer mischief. Like she's up there looking at me like this. Got you good, Mama T. Well, darling, you wouldn't be the only mortal being to have shat on me from a great fucking height. She's got it all over my dress. Oh, Charlie, this was a nice clean dress. Like, that's not nice, Charlie. You should see her face. Look, I'll show you. She's up there looking fucking triumphant. Are you happy what you just did to your mama? Is you a happy girl? You as naughty as what you are. There's other birdies outside. No, that wasn't nice. No, you have to laugh. So there's an alien out there somewhere going, I don't understand what shit and what's going on here. Well, anyway, they say that when you get shat on by a bird, it's good luck. I must be the luckiest woman alive. Attitude is everything, people. Go with the flow and hope it's not epic running effluent that you have to swim through or past or over. Oh dear goddess, you have to laugh. Look, it's even all over my laptop screen. Charlie, that was massive. Massive. Anyway, on that note, bye for now. Take good care.